Hey everybody, Todd Crandell, the original sober triathlete, bringing you another awesome Racing for Recovery podcast. And I have the amazing Audra from the Ironman Foundation with us today. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Todd?
I'm good. I'm excited for this. I don't really have a script when I do these things. I kind of just let them roll. So
Sure.
let's start with this.
Yeah.
Give us 3 words that describe you.
Tenacious, determined, patient.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about tenacity. And you mentioned before we started recording that you're running or training for the Boston Marathon.
Yes.
Let's talk about how tenacity is playing a role in your preparation to run the best marathon in the world.
Just being for me, it's just I'm racing for a purpose. I'm racing for the Ironman Foundation. So for me, that's incredibly important. One of our pillars is helping kids, underprivileged kids, with swim lessons and bikes. So that's my mission. So just keeping that in the back of my head it makes the training easier. I mean, there are days where I'm like, why am I doing this? This hurts. Like I'm old. My foot hurts. But I just keep going back to like, there's a reason why I'm doing this.
Well, let's segue right into it then. Let's talk about why you chose to work for the Ironman Foundation. What does it mean to be working with them?
Well, for me, so I've been in the event business for, God, over 25 years. So I started with an independent race production company, and then I was hired on by Ironman, where I was on the operating side of the business. COVID happened. Nobody was producing events at the time. And then my boss, who's the COO for the Ironman group, Shane Facto, asked me if I would be interested in coming to the nonprofit side of the business. And it's something that was always deep in my core, that I always wanted to do something to give back. Like I always want to help people, and I want to help animals and do things along those lines. So when I was presented with this opportunity, I jumped to it, because just being able to do what we do, and outside of having people cross the finish line and it's their first, it's their first Ironman or their first 73 and they have accomplished it, it's also like working with the kids and seeing, teaching kids how to swim, where they were absolutely petrified of the water, and now, like, a couple years later, they're lifeguards and they're supporting their friends in swimming, and the same with bikes. So it's doing something bigger than me.
I love that. Can you talk about what it was? I want to know, like, what your childhood was like, that you developed the mindset that you have, and then obviously that's why you chose working with the foundation. But where did you get all this mindset? How did it start?
So I came from an Italian family from New York, right? My parents are New York Italian, so it's you learn to be dependent and just to work hard. My dad he's a workaholic, and so I learned a lot of like just my mindset from him. And my mom was, home to, took care of myself and my brother. So it was really, I always wanted to do more, like always in my core, like I would always push myself to do a bit more. Like I needed to run faster, or I needed to get to a certain level in a career, and I got there and that wasn't enough. So it was just a lot what was instilled in growing up with my family, is that just push to be the best that you can and then go a little bit beyond that.
I love that. And I'm going to get a little personal for a second here.
Sure.
I love that mindset. I have it as well. The one thing I didn't have, and that's led to, my drug addiction and the work that I do with Racing for Recovery today. The thing that I didn't have was I didn't have self-respect. I didn't have self-esteem. I didn't have purpose. So it's like having drive is great, but if that drive is being used in almost like a lifeline and not a life enhancement,
Yeah.
it can get a little touchy. And it sounds like you had a positive sense of self and were just a driven young kid that actually was doing something good with it. Is that accurate?
It to a degree. So I mean, full transparency, growing up, I made a lot of mistakes. I also I did have low self-esteem, and I went through my ups and downs as, any child does. And I had to finally just stop and make hard choices, really set boundaries. If something didn't feel right, I don't have to take it, or I don't have to be in that situation. And it was, the start of like just doing something that's positive for myself by saying no. Or, if somebody's disrespectful, just, letting them know that, what, that didn't really sit right. And it wasn't always the easiest, but the more and more I grew and the more and more I learned, it became easier. And I just had to really dig deep within myself.
How is all of that transferring into the success that you have with the Ironman Foundation now?
I'm not one to really take no for an answer. So I will, and I'm, no comes in this job when, you're asking for donations and things along those lines, of course. And it just makes me stronger and it makes me want to even push more. So for me, it's made me get like a little thicker skin that, yes, you're saying no, but that doesn't mean I can't revisit in a year, and just really growing those relationships. So it's helped me get out of a comfort zone, and it's okay to be vulnerable. Plus, I do have like an amazing boss that also pushes me, and which I absolutely, I really appreciate it. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, but it's good because I'm growing as a person.
I love that. And I can personally testify to you doing that. And we're going to talk about this off the air too. But when you sent me the email about supporting the swim with the kids, I was like, that's why she's good. And that's why I was asking this question.
I'm
I
not
love it.
afraid. I'm not afraid to ask. I
No,
mean,
you have to. If you don't ask, you don't get, right?
exactly. I mean, obviously, of course, I'm always respectful, and I have a good judgment of like reading the room and everything, and there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I'm looking at the bigger picture. I want to be able to say that the Ironman Foundation has provided over 25,000 swim lessons by the end of 2028. I want to be able to say that the Ironman Foundation has provided over 2,500 bikes. I want to say that the Ironman Foundation has made a difference in these kids' lives, plus brought them into this incredible community, which is triathlon.
I love it. How you just mentioned a couple things there. Let's get into what the Foundation has truly done, how long it's been going on, and some of the plans you guys have for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the Ironman Foundation since 2003 has given back over $60 million to over 10,000 nonprofit organizations globally. So we have two pillars. And it took us a little bit of time to get to this. I don't want to say we were messy, but we were doing quite a few different things. And then after a couple of years, I'm like, let's streamline this a little bit more. So our two pillars are obviously the volunteer group. So we support all our volunteer groups, including the World Championship races in North America. So each race gets a budget per se, and that ranges anywhere from $5,000 to $150,000. And that the volunteer director for that race distributes it among the volunteer groups that are involved in the race. So without volunteers, we wouldn't be able to have races. So obviously the Ironman Foundation is a huge part to this. The other pillar is kids in sports, and that's giving back swim lessons, that's giving back bikes, that's bringing kids to Iron Kids and really giving kids an opportunity to be a child. Like, you remember growing up, first time you got on your bike, you're riding down the street, the wind's blowing in your hair, and you're like, this is amazing. We are doing that for kids, along with getting them in the pool to swim. A lot of kids don't know how to swim. There's so many drownings now, which is kind of unbelievable. When I was looking at the statistics, I couldn't believe it, but we're able to give kids an opportunity. So now what we're doing is working with the local YMCA in our race communities. This year we work with 5. Next year we're going to work with 8 YMCAs, and we're going to continue to grow that program. And then for the bikes, we are involved with Cape Epic. So in this past year, we donated over 100 bikes and helmets to the community in Cape Epic, and that helps kids get to school. A lot of the kids in South Africa, they have to walk to and from school, and it's dangerous. So here, the Anna Foundation has the bikes. The kids can assign the bikes, and they can ride to and from school.
I love it. I do want to get into this too, and then come back to this.
Sure.
You guys also do a lot of work with natural disaster relief as well, right?
We do. So whenever, in one of our, race communities, like just fairly recent, the fires in California, so we were able to provide funding for our athletes to go to the local YMCA so they can shower, they can stay in their normal routine of like swim, bike, and run, because everybody basically was displaced. And then we also donated pallets of clothing and shoes and things along those lines. So we help where we can.
I love it. So going back to like kids with bikes and swim lessons, it's, I have 4 kids of my own, and I remember them not even asking for a bike when they were younger. It's like kids, it's shifted where when we were younger, you were on your bike all the time. You were outside all the time.
Yep.
And kids just aren't really doing that anymore. Are you finding that kids are interested in doing swim, bike, run, but they don't have, like, what's missing that they're not doing more of it now?
There's a couple of pieces. It's, financially, it's a financial commitment. And nowadays, it's hard. It's hard out there. Most parents, there's 2 parents that are working to try to support, a household. So kids are on their own. And they have their responsibilities, whether they have a younger brother or sister, they need to take care of, their brother or sister, get their homework done, things along those lines. So, and then also it comes to like a safety issue too. Like when I was growing up, I remember like my parents, they would put you outside. You're on your Huffy bike. You came in when the street light went on. It was just very different then. But what I'm also seeing is so many kids want to learn to swim. They want to learn to bike, and they want to participate in runs, and they want to be part of a community.
At least the desire's there. That's where it has to start, right? So how about we shift gears a little bit? Talk about the type of person that is involved in the Ironman Foundation. What brings someone who's already doing Ironman that then starts to race for a purpose other than themselves?
I think a lot of times is what I've come across is the athletes see what we're doing. And they see that we're helping, volunteers at the race communities, and they take a step back and they say, it's not just swim, bike, and run, that we do need people to help with these events. And so a lot of times I'll hear people say that I want to race for a purpose. They either, they're successful in their life, not only from a financial standpoint, but just their own personal goals. And now they want to do something more. So that's what I come across a lot of with our athletes, is that they just want to give back. Either they've, had a rough upbringing, or, mental illness, drugs, whatever the case may be, and they really dug deep and worked on themselves. And now it's like they've had people that came to, quote unquote, their rescue. Now they want to do what they can for others.
Yeah, that's just to talk on why I believe in what you guys are doing. It's like, I don't know if it's God or whoever, right? But I used Ironman for my own recovery from not thinking so well and making bad choices with drugs and alcohol. But doing, I think it was my fourth Ironman. I did Ironman New Zealand, and our local newspaper ran a story about my life, and the response was so awesome just because of the Ironman aspect of it.
Yeah.
That I had this, wow, I can actually do something with this, and that doing something with this is what led to Racing for Recovery and us being a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Not knowing the magnitude of what that was going to happen. So for me, that has been the draw in supporting the foundation, is like, okay, I see what you guys are doing, and I just like being a part of that in the thing that gave me my own life's purpose.
No, and I want to thank you because you've been one of our biggest supporters. So I really appreciate you believing in us and you support us year after year. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for all of that. That means a
All
lot
good.
to me. And
Yep.
obviously the foundation as a whole.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever publicly even talked about the foundation, because it's like we get enough accolades for what we're doing, and you guys are doing all the work anyways, but it's been great to be a part of it and just watch the work that you guys are doing, and the people that I've met racing that are racing for a purpose. They're amazing people, amazing, kind, driven, compassionate individuals that are just doing good things out there. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It is really special, and I've made so many like new friends through the foundation, and just I just love Ironman as a whole. It's like it's a family to me. There's a lot of the people that when I started with Ironman 16 years ago, they're still working there, and they've become it's like I don't want to say a dysfunctional family. That's not the right word, but we're just like we're so entrenched in everything, and we all believe in Ironman, the Ironman Foundation, and more importantly, we believe in each other and our abilities.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Ironman. Like how has it changed since you got involved in it? As you said, 16 years ago. How's it changed?
Well, it's changed in a lot of ways as far as like there's more races. So it's definitely like policies and procedures had to be put in place where, I mean, it was always there, but now because we're like this well-oiled machine and we go from one to another, we have to make sure that teams are aligned and, and we're bringing in more athletes. So it's, that's one of the first things that have changed. The other thing, and I was just talking about this with one of our donors, is the mass starts. Do you remember the mass starts?
Oh my God. Yeah. My first.
Yeah. Was it Lake Placid?
No, my first was Panama City, November 6th of 1999.
Yep.
Terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. But it was so dramatic. And it's just like, so it was, I actually have a picture of the last year Lake Placid had a mass start, and I believe it was 2012. And it was like this overview of like the athletes swimming, and you can see the paddle boards, they're up in the air, and it was like, so I've seen that. I've also obviously I've seen a couple of acquisitions, a couple of CEOs, but the biggest thing is just how we're growing, and we've expanded to different markets from the running space. We have trail, mountain biking, so it's pretty incredible where we started off with just like 7 events, and now we're over 200 events globally, and so.
Well, are you saying that they may bring the mass swim start back?
No.
Okay, all right.
For my own selfish reason, like I would love to see it because it means so much, because that's what I remember triathlon, because I started like back in 2006, right? So with I worked for an independent race production company, and it was just like, you're just trying to figure this out. And I just remember like the mass starts, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. How do I get involved more? And fast forward, here I am.
Did you do Ironman as well?
No, I've done like sprint and Olympic distance, but I was predominantly a runner. Just because of my crazy schedule, it was just easier for me to just grab my sneakers and go out my front door and and run. But I did do some shorter distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what the drill is. It's the distances are, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to, you know this well, but on the pier in Kona, the big giant black tires that are on the seawall
Yeah.
that, okay. In 2006 is the first time I did Kona, and I remember hanging on one of those tires and just looking out at, I think it's 1,800 people or whatever, and
Yeah.
absolutely terrified of
Uh-huh.
what I was about to get into. But the thrill
Yeah.
of that is there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
It's so true. So it's funny just to piggyback off of that, your what you just said. My last triathlon, which at the time it was an international distance. Do you remember that, where we were just trying to figure
Yep.
out? And it was cold as it was so damn cold, and I'm on the run, and I'm like, you know what? I can just fake an injury. Nobody would know. I would know. Like, this is why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. Like, and so, but I did not. And I ended up with exercise induced asthma afterwards. And I'm like, but it was the thrill of it. I was like, you know what? I signed up for something. I'm going to finish it. And then I hung up my bike after that. And just,
Well, it's okay because of what you're doing with all the work you're doing. This is another facet that brings me to think of this: the psychology on race day.
yeah.
Just on race day. I'm not talking about training, but that psychology where you're like, oh, I could fake an injury and quit, and we're trying to convince ourselves it's
Oh, yeah.
okay, right? And then you overcome it, being
Yeah.
perseverance and everything. But I'm fascinated with the psychology on race day, the obstacles, how one overcomes it, what the other race participants are overcoming it, how the volunteers deal with it. That energy is just palpable on race day.
So I'm going to share a story, and I don't share this with many people. It was Lake Placid 2019, and there was an athlete who was struggling. I mean, really like bad anxiety, just was in the swim, and it was but he was determined to do this. I spent 45 minutes in the water with him, talking to him, like calming him down, like what's going on. And to this day, I still speak to that athlete, and he ended up completing he did great. And so, but it's true. Just watching this shift of like, I can't do this. Why am I doing this? Like everything's closing in, like the wetsuit's on. I'm like, this is, and then, you get that inner strength, and you're like, I'm doing this. I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. God, I can't imagine how grateful that person is for you to have the compassion to do that day.
Yeah. No,
And
it
that
was special.
that's Ironman.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the event, it's the people behind it. Again, I love that. What obstacles are you guys running into with Ironman and even the foundation?
I think the obstacles that we're running into is just because just the nature of what's going on in the world it's just, I don't want to say it's harder to get donations, but it is harder to get donation, and it's really, people are really being they really need to be passionate about what they're giving back to. So what I'm finding is that there's, more conversations, which is great. I mean, I'm getting to know these people, that much more. So I think that's part of it. Also, because we have so many events, sometimes I feel like our team, or my team, is spread a little bit thin. We want to do so much, and then we have like this ongoing list, and it's always like, what Shane always says to me is like, keep it simple, keep it simple. So I want to do and give back everything. Like, I want to say I brought in, or not, the foundation brought in $1 million donor. Like, there's so many things I want to do. And then with Ironman, I think it's more of the same, is that we're just growing, and just trying to figure out, how many more 70.3s need to come in, how many more Ironmans need to come in. Like, UTMB is a hot topic. Like that's growing. The running space is kind of quiet a little bit. But how much does that need to grow? And it's just really trying to figure it out because, like, as you know, it ebbs and flows. So one year, 70.3s are like a huge hit, and then that declines a little bit. But then Ironmans are, so it's just figuring out the trends.
I want to come back and address that in a second too, but you've mentioned Shane Facto twice, and I just have to say, I love that guy. When he was, I don't even know in what capacity he was with Ironman at, but he gave me the go ahead to film for the first Racing for Recovery movie at Ironman, Wisconsin,
Oh,
back
I
in,
love that.
oh my God, 2000. I don't even know when it was,
Yeah,
2002 maybe or whatever. So Shane has always held a special
yeah.
place in my heart for what he did for Racing for Recovery early on. Great guy.
He's amazing. So he was the first one to hire me. So back when um, independent production company, we were one of the first licensees, and I met Shane in 2009, and I just remember he like just threw me into a situation at the supply area, and he's like, all right, basically just learn this, learn how to drive a forklift, learn all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? And full circle, I've had a couple of different bosses, but then it came full circle, and I report directly to him.
Good guy.
He's the best.
Back to races. How about let's talk about this. What races does the foundation support and why? Like, do you guys get a list of what races you can do, and how does that selection take place?
Sure. So for foundation, we support all the races in North America. And then we also support the World Championship events. So we get for those races, we give back money. So on an average, we give back between 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars a year in volunteer grants. So and then we decide, depending on how many of our Team IMF athletes are competing, if it's 10 or more, then we send, team members there to support them. And if not, then we bring in our ambassadors. So we are present at every single race.
Are you going to expand globally more, or is it just?
Yes. So we started working with Cape Epic. We've also worked with the World Championship team in Nice in Spain. We're looking on doing something in the UK. We have an athlete out there who's raced numerous times with the foundation, and she wants to do more. So yes, we are looking to expand more internationally. Probably what we'll end up doing is picking a couple races and bring a bunch of team members there, and then just start small and then eventually expand.
Awesome.
That's one of my goals.
What else do I want to ask you? Back to Ironman, we were talking about 70.3s. Why is it like they'll put a race on a 70.3 distance? Because I can't think of any Ironmans that have done it, but they'll run it 1 year and it'll stop, and then maybe it'll come back and pick it up. What has been that whole scenario?
It creates excitement. Like, you don't want to keep it stale. So like when you announce a new race, right? It sells out like that. So it's just like like the marketing team, everybody's been taking a really good look at trends and what creates excitement. And because we have so many events, so Boise, prime example. It was, remember, it used to start at noon to kind of give it that Ironman feeling, and then that went away for a little bit, and then it came back, and that's a popular race. Louisville, the same thing. It's really to kind of create excitement and supply and demand.
I think I did Boise the first year they had that one, and remember how cold the water was, and watching the pros go out, and like 3/4 of them turned around and came back and was like, "Nope, I'm not doing it
Done
today."
with this.
Yeah, beautiful out there, but it's cool. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. How can Racing for Recovery and myself, how can we help the foundation more?
Yeah, well, outside of my email,
Yes.
is going out there and just really things like this, Todd. Like I again, I can't thank you enough. It's just more awareness. There There are a lot of people that don't know that Ironman has a foundation,
Yeah.
and that's partly on me. That we've been looking at different marketing campaigns and strategies, and just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. Um, but it's really creating the awareness, and letting people know what we do. And then we actually we have slots in every single event, so you can race as a Team IMF athlete and fundraise specifically for us. And there's so many great benefits that come along with that, outside, a low bib number, team gear. We have meetings. We bring in at some of our selected events next year. I believe it's going to be 10. We bring in our dedicated bike mechanic. We do a breakfast. We bring in our volunteer groups that we're supporting. So, and there's just so many things. So just really spreading the awareness. That was a really long answer.
No, it's a good answer. And one thing too I wanted to ask in there is, a lot of times races get sold out, but
Mhm.
people still can get in by going through the foundation and raising money. So that's something I know the people that follow me just for Ironman will say, "Oh, I couldn't get in because the race is sold out." I'm like, "Well, you
Right.
can do a foundation slot." So that's
Mhm.
another thing that I want people to understand as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, like I said, we have slots in all the races, and we're definitely been expanding more into some of the international races. So, and because we have those relationships. So, yeah, please come race with the foundation. We have slots.
What is there anything else you want to talk about, or any other questions you have for me at all today?
One of my questions for you is, what are your goals for 2026 regarding racing?
Well, one of the new things I'm doing, I can't believe I'm putting this out there publicly. That means I have to do it. I've signed up to run my first 100 miler, and I'm at the Burning River in Cuyahoga Falls over near Cleveland. I
Okay.
ran the 50 over there years ago and then started having some injuries, but I have really, we were joking before we came on the air. You asked me how training is going, and I said, well, I'm actually starting to train, and as opposed to just winging these things. So I started running a lot more with more focus, and I'm like, okay, I want to pursue that. I think I'm signed up for 9 Ironman races, the new one in Dallas, the new one in New Mexico. We
Yep.
talked about the prestige of doing the new ones. I'm going back to Hawaii for the half, and I'm still staying positive that I'll
Yep.
be in Kona in October.
Yep.
What else am I doing? The new one in Italy. I'm racing
Oh,
with XC over there for that.
great.
So I love the travel. I love the new cultures that I get to experience, meeting the people. Like I said, supporting the foundation. I just love it all. And at almost 59 years old, I don't see me stopping. I see me doing more and more of this to keep living this great lifestyle. I love it.
It is an incredible lifestyle, and it's an incredible community. I mean, again, I just can't tell you how many amazing people I met, and just Ironman in general is my family. Like, which is very special to me.
Yeah, you guys are doing remarkable work, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk. I will get back to you on your email because I wanna do that. I just have some questions like how.
Yeah.
I'll message you. Yeah,
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 please do, because I have some ideas of like some co-branding and things along those
yeah.
lines. That would be great. Yeah, I look forward to it, and I'll definitely keep you updated with Kona.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
All
take
right.
care. Bye,
Bye.
Audra.